Why Sri Aurobindo? Why does it make sense to study Sri Aurobindo? Good morrow, this is Chris speaking with a video about why does it make sense to study Sri Aurobindo? Why read Sri Aurobindo? Thank you for liking and subscribing. Wake up. Now, I started a few days ago a series on Sri Aurobindo's Life Divine chapter by chapter, which has been watched by many people in India, but by very few people who have subscribed to this channel previously. This is partly because most of my videos before Sri Aurobindo videos were about Advaita or spiral dynamics. And partly because Sri Aurobindo is outside of India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, not very well known. It is not known that Sri Aurobindo and Meher Baba reached a level of consciousness that is far beyond anything any other teacher you might have encountered so far has arrived at. They were actually comparable to Buddha at his time, Jesus at his time, Muhammad at his time, and so on. But they didn't feel the need to be a prophet or start a religion. That was not their destiny. But we have their direct, undiluted writing. We do not know exactly what the Buddha said, or what Jesus said, or what Muhammad said. But we do know what Sri Aurobindo wrote and what Meher Baba wrote. About 1% of all the teachers who claim to be enlightened are actually enlightened. Most are awake or not even that. Before people like Eckhart Tolle and Chet McKenna, we had very few people in the West who reached enlightenment. Bernadette Roberts, for example, or Carl Gustav Jung. But all the others on whom our present view of spirituality is based, 99% of them were not enlightened. Like Alan Watts. I love Alan Watts. He can explain things better than anyone else, but he wasn't enlightened. Same for Ram Dass, Chogyam Trungpa, Sri this and Swami that, Timothy Leary, Ralph Metzner, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Muktananda, Nityananda, John Lilly, John Bennett, Terence McKenna, Jack Cornfield, Jack Kerouac, you name them. They were all not enlightened. They were awake, which is already great because at that time in the 70s, even fewer people were awake than nowadays. That was already a great achievement. But most of them went to India for a few months and then came back to teach in the West. A few tidbits, a few tiny droplets of the vast ocean of knowledge that there is in India. Because in truth, almost all spiritual knowledge we have today is based on the Vedas and Upanishads. With very few exceptions, like Taoism, for example, which is very similar now to the Vedas, and the Sufi tradition and the Gurdjieff tradition. But apart from that, no. Even Gurdjieff and Ouspensky were not enlightened. So we have this tradition in the West of people who talked about something that they did not experience themselves, which of course I'm also guilty right now while doing the Sri Aurobindo videos because I'm not at the same level. But at least I'm trying to give the whole picture and not just aspects. And Sri Aurobindo's and Meher Baba's books are also based on the Vedas and Upanishads, but they put them in a modern framework. So of course you could say it's enough to say everything is an illusion and that we don't know anything. Or it's enough to say, like a friend of mine recently said, all is the Brahman. But where does that leave us? it leaves us usually in getting stuck there, in getting stuck in inaction, which is of course for some time nice. It's a good thing because we are always too much in action and reaction, and we have to calm down and let go first. But once you let go and calm down, then what? I think the best thing that Jed ever said is further. Always go further, never stop. Never assume that this is the end, that this is the highest knowledge, that this is the highest state. Whenever you think, now I've got it, just treat it as a distraction. Or when you find that you suddenly have developed a siddhi, a superpower, a super talent, just treat it as a distraction. Go on. Go further. The trick here is that it is not a desire. It's not a longing, it's not an escape. The worst thing you can do is treat spirituality as an escape route. It's not an escape. And if you have the desire to become a great guru, it won't lead anywhere. But why not be just a seeker after truth or a finder of truth and see where it leads without any expectations and without any concepts, but looking at all the concepts that are out there. Why limit yourself? What if it is true that Meher Baba and Sri Aurobindo reached the highest heights of what is possible for a human being spiritually? Maybe it's bogus. Maybe it's not true. But what if it is true? Then you have everything explained perfectly in front of you, and you're not using it. You're looking for this and you're looking for that, while it's directly in front of you, available anytime. So I'm exploring it right now. In my heart, I'm with UG and with Jed and with most Advaita teachers to just say, what you don't experience, forget it. Everything else is just wishful thinking and imagination and ego traps. But then there's another voice, which I hope is my pure reason, which asks, okay, but what if it is true? What if those two were really avatars and put out everything you need to know for anyone who wants to know? And then you can still read it as a skeptic and then verify it yourself. To the contrary, I think it's very important to break the boundaries of what you feel comfortable with or what makes sense to you. The old sattva is always becoming the new tamas. The old knowledge is becoming inertia at some point. Plus, what is the usefulness of the Advaitic realization of illusion in day-to-day life? Really, what are you going to do with it? Once you realize that your personality does not exist and that everything is a big illusion called Maya, and that the only thing you can know is that you are, then what? This realization is what I call awakening, and it has nothing to do with enlightenment. So you can say, of course, okay, maybe there is no enlightenment, or maybe it's only 1 in 100 million or 10 million who reaches that, so what does it concern me? It's like playing lotto. But what if it is true that it's available to everyone? That anyone who wants to go there can go there, provided that you surrender all your expectations and all your knowledge that you have gathered up till now, and all the positive sensations that you have experienced because of it. Bernadette Roberts described very well how horrible that is. You finally reached a place where you feel one with the world and with the divine, where your fear and your grief are transformed into love, and then you have to give even that up. To give up your last vestiges of personality. To cease to be an individual. But then to really merge with the divine, with what is called Satchitananda. What if that is really possible for everyone? And would you want it? Maybe you don't want it, that's also fine. Probably each and every one of you had Cypher moments. Cypher in the Matrix, the guy who wants to go back, doesn't want to be awake, he wants to go back to the life of sleep. That is so simple. You probably know that thought. Oh my God. Wouldn't it be much easier to go back and pretend that this is all there is? And these are all options. This is all fine. You can do whatever you want. You can go back, you can stay where you are, or you can go further. And for me, my aim is always to go as far as possible. As long as I can remember, I have wanted to know the truth, or as much of the truth as is knowable for a human being. No matter what it is, no matter what the outcome, I just want to know it. No matter if the truth is ugly or beautiful, I want to know it. Not to get somewhere, to be someone else, as an escape or as an aim, just so that I know. And right now I'm exploring the possibility that it is helpful to read Sri Aurobindo and Meher Baba, which I have already done, but I'm reading again now from where I'm at now and understand much more than 10 or 20 years ago. You probably know that. Once you read a book again, a novel or any kind of book, 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 years later, you see different things. You notice different things. A movie even. Maybe you watch a movie that, your favorite movie, you have watched it 20 times already, but if something in yourself changes, you see aspects that you have never seen before. So I invite you to go on a journey with me. I know your main interests are in things like spiral dynamics and Advaita. And maybe this is enough for you, maybe this is satisfying, and maybe it isn't. If it isn't, if you can imagine that there is more, go on the Sri Aurobindo journey with me and see what the Vedas have to offer. Undiluted by the teachers we so respect and love, but who have not given us the whole story. And if it turns out that it is not helpful, then at least we know it's not helpful. But if it is helpful, it will be a very powerful tool. And I suspect that it is. Any one of you who has already been in India will see that there's something very special going on there. It is a country steeped in spirituality. The moment you step off the plane, you already can feel that. And that doesn't mean that everyone who's there is enlightened, but the knowledge, the wisdom of how to get there is there for the taking for whomever is open to it. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for all my Patreons. Thank you for liking and subscribing, joining me on Patreon or Facebook, writing me emails. Thank you very much for all your wonderful emails, and see you soon.